Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So I'm just taking a break from showing my entire DVD collection. Thanks very much if you've been watching all of these videos. But yeah, I received a question really just asking me to talk a little bit about starting a collection in 2024 and thoughts on DVDs and sort of owning the movies that you love. So yeah, it was a nicely phrased question from Three Eyes Wise, so thanks very much for the question. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'll do a video on this. Now obviously loads of people have talked already on various YouTube channels about starting a collection and how to curate a collection, etc. But yeah, I'll just give you my thoughts. So 2024, yeah, I mean, it absolutely seems as though the choice that is available to people nowadays is immense. So whether it's you're watching movies on cable TV, on all the various types of streaming services, some of which are free, and all the different types of physical media formats, whether they're obsolete but still available used, or new formats. There's a huge choice out there. So you're spoilt for choice in terms of what you can watch and what's available to you. And the time you have to be able to watch all of these things is, yeah, that's down on you as to how much you can actually cope with. So before you even get into collecting, I would say step one is just stop and think about what is available to you right now. So do you use cable TV? Maybe not, I don't. Streaming services, do you use those? I do use streaming services, but not all of them. And what do you think about the films that are on those streaming services? Are you comfortable with what you can see on there already? Or are you finding that there's just loads and loads of movies that you cannot find? Or is it that doesn't matter at all whether they're available or not? You just physically want to be able to hold a copy in your hand. So that's really the first thing, I suppose, to think about. Then I would say the next thing to think about is what's your home environment like? So can you actually support a collection in your home? So just take a look behind me now and you can see that there's a whole load of DVDs. So yeah, this is about 5'8" by 5'8" tall as well. So 71 inches by 71 inches, the size of a double bed, I guess. And yeah, that only represents possibly 20% of my collection, about 800 movies there. So you've got to be able to think, can I store these movies in my home? Is it going to be obtrusive? Is it going to be something I'm comfortable to have? Or is it going to be unsightly? Is it going to cause problems for my family, etc., etc.? Do you live alone? All that kind of thing. So yeah, that's one thing to think about. Then obviously you can get into the collecting itself, but before you do that, what kind of a movie fan are you? So is it that you're just a general kind of movie fan who just really wants to be entertained? So you might only like watching action movies or rom-coms or horror movies, and you're not really thinking about links between any of these movies. It's just, I want to be entertained, I want to put something on. And that's the kind of genre that I like, and that's it. So there's lots of people out there who just think like that. They're not bothered about sort of directors necessarily, or who's involved in making the films. It's just a style of film that they think, yep, that's for me. Or they want something that's just easygoing because have had a busy working day or whatever. They don't want to think about things too much. It's just put a movie on, maybe have something that you can take on holiday with you, take to your cabin. I'm in Canada. We have a lot of people here who seem to have cabins that they go to, and they take their movies with them to watch in their cabin. So maybe it's something like that for you. So yeah, are you just a general movie fan who just wants to be able to watch some entertainment, or is it a bit more serious than that and you actually want to get involved in enjoying all types of genres of film? So then we get on to the actual collecting itself. Now, yes, I am primarily a DVD collector. I have about 4,000 odd DVDs. I do have about 1,300 laser discs, and I have Blu-rays as well. DVDs is what I have the most fun with collecting, and the majority of my DVDs are ones which I have found second-hand, so through thrift stores, charity shops if you want, garage sales, and community sales and things like that, and I get a great deal of fun out of that. So the DVD market for sure is something that you can get into as a new collector, and cheaply, because used DVDs typically, I've heard a lot of people in the UK saying that they go to their charity shops and they can get sort of 5 for £1, something like that. And over here, I'm in Canada, typical prices over here in thrift stores are sort of $1, $2, maybe up to $5. But that's for general titles. So anyone that has been watching my channel and has been watching me show my DVD collection, you'll be able to see the range of titles that I've been able to find. And for me, I do want to be able to find titles which are not just the sort of standard Hollywood fare. Got nothing against that. I enjoy those movies as well, absolutely immensely. But I like all types of films, and I'm very much interested in making links between films. I'm very much focused on sort of directors and actors and cinematographers, writers, all those kinds of people that are involved, and then sort of going down rabbit holes and exploring different genres. I like to try and find international movies, but I must admit, in the used market, in the thrift store market, trying to find international movies is a little bit more of a challenge. But they are out there. In fact, a lot of stuff is out there if you are prepared to look for it. So looking for things as well. So I guess that also comes into collecting, and what is it that you're prepared to do. So if you are looking to start a collection cheaply, you're looking at used DVDs, what's around you at the moment? Do you have a whole number of thrift stores that you can go to, or video stores that are selling used DVDs? What's around you, and how far are you prepared to travel? For me, I really enjoy, as part of my hunt, if you like, incorporating exercise into this. So sure, I've got a couple of thrift stores that are very local to me, so I can just walk to those very easily, but there's a whole load of others that I like to go to, but I'll do a long walk to get there first, and it might involve some great scenery and a coffee along the way or something like that. So even if I don't find anything at the actual store when I get there, I've had a good day. So I think it's all about just enjoying having fun as well for me. But maybe that's not for you. Maybe you just want to be able to go to a certain number of stores and see what you can find. But check those out. What kind of things are in there, and do those stores give you the kinds of movies that you're interested in? Again, like I say, a lot of thrift stores will have a lot of general sort of Hollywood type movies. So yes, if you're patient enough, then something that has been released in the last year or so, then you may well be able to find that in a thrift store next year very cheaply. So that's great. But if your tastes and interests are more developed than that, I guess, and you are looking to find different types of genres and different international films, then maybe just doing the used route isn't going to be satisfactory enough for you. Then also, when it comes to DVDs as well, it's also what are you prepared to look at in terms of your home theatre setup? So for me, in general, I don't have a problem with DVDs. I've enjoyed DVDs for a long time, and I would say, although there's plenty of people nowadays who will tell you that DVD is just badly outdated and unwatchable, and you must have a Blu-ray, or you must try and look to get a 4K. I don't accept that. The majority of DVDs are still very, very watchable, and I get a huge amount of enjoyment from those. Now, it may be if you're younger than myself. I'm in my 50s, so obviously I grew up with a black and white TV where I had to keep sort of moving the reception area around, so I was used to a kind of a bad image on my TV, but that didn't always stop me from enjoying movies. So I think probably a lot of things for people of my age or older, maybe we're prepared to tolerate more than younger people will now, because if you've been born in the last sort of 20 years and you're just used to the digital format, then maybe that's all that you can accept. So yeah, fair enough if that's the case. Certainly it does seem that there's a whole load of people nowadays who just seem to think that DVD is unwatchable, and that they must have Blu-ray, they must have 4K. So fair enough if that's the way you think. But yeah, going down that route, obviously then you're going to be getting into more expense in terms of starting your collection. So yeah, the 4K format isn't cheap, and Blu-rays, whilst you can get those in the used market, I would say, in my experience, a lot of the movies that I'm finding there are the more sort of general kind of movies, nothing that's too rare or anything like that. It's just your typical kind of Hollywood movies. So yeah, great. Again, you can get some of those very cheaply to start your collection, but not always interesting enough in terms of exploring different genres. Okay, but the next thing then is it actually just the movie itself that you're interested in, or is it the artwork and packaging? Because that's been an area where things have progressed hugely over the last few years, and we've got all of these boutique labels now that produce wonderful artwork packages of movies, and that's become a huge market. And I don't have that many of them. I do, for instance, thoroughly support Indicator. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but it's a label that I particularly enjoy. I love the stuff that they have put out, but in no way am I looking to be a completist of those, because there's still a lot of films there that I'm not interested in. But yeah, I love the way that they package their movies. But that's just one label, and there's a whole load of others: Radiance and Arrow and Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, numerous others, Kino Lorber. So yeah, all of these kind of labels, they're all doing great work. And maybe it's a case that you feel as though you want to support those labels as well, which is, you want to see these companies still stay in business. So yeah, there's that. So maybe you don't want to go down the used market because you think, no, it's only right that I get a physical copy and I get it from one of these labels that's putting in the hard work to keep these movies out there. And that's totally fine too. So I think there's room for everybody here. I mean, if you are looking at DVDs, then from my point of view, yeah, it's something I still really enjoy, and I really get enjoyment from finding the kinds of movies that aren't the typical kind of finds, and ones which aren't necessarily out on Blu-ray yet or have a 4K release. So yeah, I love finding the more unusual films, but for me it's got to be something that I've got an interest in as well. I mean, there's a huge amount out there. You can find anything you want, really, but you do need to have the interest in it. There's no point just picking up everything. I see a lot of people nowadays who do just pick things up. They might just look at the cover and say, I like the look of the picture, or they read a little bit of the synopsis on the back. I don't know, it sounded quite good to me. Or they say, I think I heard a friend recommend this one. All of that's fine, but personally, I disagree with that. I think just develop your own interests. I think for me, what I really would like to happen for people is just to really see them demonstrate their curiosity about films. So it's establishing those links between films. You watch a movie, what is it you liked about it? You like that actor, or you like the way it was directed, you like the way it was edited, you really like the cinematography. Okay, well, who was involved in doing that? What else have they done? Yeah, maybe I'll go and explore that next. All that kind of stuff. And then also, if you're going to be a couch potato sitting at home watching movies and not going out into the world, then I think you owe it to yourself to explore the world via film a bit more and enjoy lots of international original films, so don't be afraid of those. Yeah, I think that really, I don't know, I'm waffling here, but those are some of my initial thoughts. Now, going back to the collecting, like I say, collecting movies takes up space. So that is definitely something you're going to need to think about. For me, I'm not going to show you where the rest of my collection is around my apartment, but yeah, I have it in various shelving units. I have some in closets. I have some on a bit of floor space in a closet. So yeah, it's not an ideal way of presenting it. Some people have glorious basement rooms and things like that they can put their collection in, and when they're buying these boutique labels that have these great artwork, then they can display that. But for many people, you're not going to be able to do that. You might get the enjoyment of buying these copies, but then it's going to be put away on a shelf, you might not see it, etc. So yeah, keeping track of the number of films you have, I think, is something to just keep in mind. So yeah, maybe you want to keep your collection small and not have that kind of worry or stress about having to keep it managed in your home. Or maybe you're fine with that and you want to keep growing it, or maybe just move things around and what have you. Now, one thing I did look at last year, and I must admit I haven't actually started on it yet, but for me, yeah, like I say, space is becoming an issue. So I did look at getting some sleeves that I could take movies out of their plastic cases and then put them into sleeves, and then put them into one of these kind of plastic bags here. So this plastic bag is the length of one shelf there, but effectively it means that I would be able to store that entire row within this one bag. So that saves me up quite a bit of space. You can just take a movie out of its plastic case and put it in one of these, store it in the plastic bag, and yeah, you've got it sort of fairly safely stored there. Other people such as Serial at Midnight and Mike at Movie Edge, they've done videos on their channel talking about the types of plastic wallets and storage bags that are available in the US, so you might want to look at those videos just to get a bit more comment from them. But yeah, that's something to think about. But like I say, I bought those last year thinking, great, that'll save me up about 1,000 movies in space, what have you. But I still haven't actually put any movies into those sleeves yet, because the sticking point really is, yeah, it's nice to have the movies presented on a shelf where you can see the spine, you can read the label. The concern is that once you've taken that movie out of the plastic case and put it into one of these wallets and then put it into a bag, then yeah, if you're just storing that bag under your bed or in a closet or what have you, maybe it becomes a movie that you then forget about. So that's a little bit of a concern for me. Also, when it comes to the number of movies that you've got, yeah, sooner or later you're going to get to a point where you're not going to be able to remember every title, and so you need to have a way of documenting what it is you've got so that you avoid duplicating things. So for me, I mean, I was actually pretty fine up until about 3,000 movies, I guess, where I had everything in random order, but I always knew where everything was, and I quite liked having it in random order just to sort of keep me mentally alert that way. But no, I'm getting older now and I can't remember as much, so I do keep an app just to log everything that I have on there. So yeah, whether it's a spreadsheet, an app such as Letterboxd, or CLZ I think is one that people use, yeah, I encourage you to use that so that you have a record of everything you've got in your collection, and can then, if you're out somewhere and you come across something and you think, oh, have I got this already or not, then you can just look it up and find out and save yourself duplicating things. So there's that to think about. But yeah, I guess those are just some initial thoughts. But really, yeah, the main thing is, I mean, if you want to start a collection, then do so, but do it for your own reasons. I mean, it is a selfish hobby. We all like to think that others are going to be interested in our collections. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't have anybody that would actually come round and watch movies with me. So yeah, I mean, it's I get the enjoyment out of sharing a lot of my movies on YouTube, so I thank you very much if you ever watch my videos. But yeah, the enjoyment really, like I say, is for me. So I really enjoy that sort of hunt for the DVDs, and not knowing what I may find when I go into a thrift store. That's really exciting for me. And yeah, I've definitely found some great finds, and I think my videos showing my collection will demonstrate that, but they'll also demonstrate the kinds of movies that I'm not finding. So yeah, definitely if you are, say, a horror enthusiast or an 80s action movies enthusiast or something like that, then those kinds of movies tend not to be so readily available in the used market. You'll also find that maybe some of your favourite thrift stores, there's people there that will get there before you and will snap things up because they then want to sell them on eBay and all that kind of thing. So yeah, get into this hobby if it's something that just really suits you for your own purposes. I mean, buying to resell, yeah, people can do that. That doesn't interest me at all. I'm personally not too concerned about, slip covers and all the various kind of artwork and packaging. For sure, I love seeing it. I love seeing other people's collections, but that's not a priority for me. And in fact, I don't know how a lot of younger people do manage to buy the quantity of these boutique label titles that they do. It's certainly something I would never have been able to afford as much when I was younger. But yeah, the other thing I guess also on that subject is patience. In time, you can afford things which you couldn't get when you were younger. So for instance, in the last 10 years I've picked up a huge quantity of Laserdiscs. Now, no way I could watch or afford those when I was younger, but in the last few years I've been able to buy up a few collections there and a player. And I have great fun with that. I mean, that's a very sort of nostalgic thing. The visual quality is not as good as modern formats, but that doesn't really matter. There's still a great deal of appeal in putting a Laserdisc into a player, seeing the sort of Laserdisc logos, having to flip sides. That's just a different kind of experience when you're watching a movie, and I get fun from that. People are still finding fun with VHS as well, so I don't have a VHS player anymore, but again, there's a lot of visual appeal about having VHS cassettes. So yeah, think about that in terms of your collection. What is it that's really important to you? Do you really need that physical copy? Can you find it on a streaming service? If you do want to get it on a physical copy, is it important for you to have all the artwork and special features? Special features is something that DVDs certainly have the special features on them, but the boutique labels will really push, I think, some extra special features on some of their editions. But again, is that important for you? It may not be. Some people will just want to watch the movie and then that's it, they're done with it, but other people will want to explore the background a bit more. Think about that in terms of just what's important to you. But certainly, 2024 is as good a time as any to start a collection, continue your collection, or just in terms of watching movies, stick with the streaming services if those work for you. So like I say, I think it's good to have actually a mixture of the both. So for me, like I say, my DVDs, absolutely love my DVDs, and I watch those, but there's a lot of international movies that I can't find, and so streaming services such as the Criterion Channel and Mubi and Kanopy. I don't know how many people can get Kanopy. Kanopy, Kanopy, is one that's linked with your library. So you need to access it using your library card, but it is an app, it's a streaming service. But the content on there is fantastic. So all kinds of movies there. That's free, but they do just limit the amount of movies that you can watch each month. Look at the types of streaming services in terms of what kinds of movies interest you. Tubi is a free one that you can look at as well. There's a huge amount of content on there. You do have ads that are with those, but that's that. Yeah, I think, like I say, the amount of content and availability out there in whatever format you desire is there. The reality is none of it is actually sustainable. So all of these things are deteriorating over time. The good news is that over our actual lifetime, you're still going to be able to watch a lot of these things. But yeah, it's something that's always progressing. So yeah, I mean, in my lifetime, Laserdiscs have gone obsolete, VHS has gone obsolete, DVDs, they're saying, as sort of obsolete. So DVDs started in 1997. I think Blu-ray started in 2006. So yeah, time is just pushing things all the time in terms of, how long things will last. Digitization of movies, that only really started in 2010, so we're still in a very sort of new era of that. And I was listening to someone just talk from the BFI on that kind of subject the other day, and how there is this need to just keep reformatting things in order to be able to preserve things for the long term. So yeah, it's not that digitizing things necessarily means that it's now safer. So yeah, digital formats can deteriorate or need reformatting in order to stay alive, and physical formats can deteriorate themselves. So everything's under threat. Maybe you preserved your collections of VHS or laser discs, but the players themselves become obsolete and harder to find or harder to get repaired. So yeah, everything is changing all the time, and can we all keep up with it? But basically, yeah, you do you. Think about what interests you. Think about what you really want. Is physical really important to you? Is the streaming okay? What's available to you? What isn't? What are your interests? And go from there, and just build on it from there. But yeah, always keep in mind the real stresses, I suppose, when it comes to having a collection is the space, and that sort of sense of being overwhelmed at times when you have so much content and what it is to watch. So people can spend ages trying to choose what it is they're going to watch once they've built a large collection. So you really need to always stay focused and actually have projects in mind or themes in mind that you want to follow, because otherwise you can spend a long time just staring at your shelves. Anyway, those are just some thoughts. I hope that was of interest. Let me know your comments. I'm sure people have lots more else they want to say on this. But yeah, thanks very much for your time. All the best to you. Bye-bye.